He's checking in this morning from the Plains, I believe. Coach, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in the Ohio University indoor. Joe's working out with the Ohio University receivers, so
Nice.
getting a chance to throw today and kind of hanging out with some of my old players.
Did you get a reaction from the Ohio receivers when they saw Joe or found out they were going to be throwing with Joe? Was that kind of weird? Did they react like it was a celebrity?
Yeah. Well, it is a little strange, but a couple of my old players kind of jokingly said, "Hey, is he got a chance to transfer here or what?" So,
Hell no, he
He
doesn't.
likes coming back, and it's fun to see him with some of these guys.
Coach Burrow, if he has any more eligibility in college, he's not getting out of Baton Rouge. You can forget that, man.
Yeah.
So we hung out with a couple of his wide receivers from high school who actually they played at Ohio, right? The tight ends and the wide receiver.
Yeah, the twins were 195-pound wide receivers, one third all time in the high school receiving touchdowns. The other one's like seventh, and they're the starting tight ends now, about 245 pounds. Wow. They're here today, so Joe likes he can pick up right where he left off with those two guys.
So, speaking of picking up where he left off, when did you guys get back out on the field? I know that was a time of decompression and just kind of exhaling on the season and kind of getting your bearings before getting back to work. When did he get back on the field?
So he started working out really last week with Dak Noticing. He's our strength coach here. That's who's kind of trained him since 8th grade. So he started working back in with some stretching and things like that, and picked up the tempo a little this week. And he threw a couple times at the high school with his high school, just some guys from on the high school team. And so he's working back in, and he can't stay away from it too long.
Yeah.
He likes to get back in it.
Well, and one thing, Coach, that struck me this season was Joe's very singular focus, right? Like, it seemed like maybe the only time before the championship one that he kind of let his guard down was maybe like the post-Heisman, and then he immediately locked back in once that was all done. So now that, he attained that ultimate goal, the thing that he was obsessed with that drove him, like, where does that focus shift to now? Where's he looking at now?
I think he's got NFL balls, so that's a big thing. So he's throwing those footballs out here, and that's a little different for him. But he's just focused now on preparing for the combine and pro day, and making sure that he's ready to go. I mean, it's another big part of his journey toward being hopefully a starting quarterback in the NFL. That's his focus now.
And do you have any idea on combine plans, pro day plans, what he will do, won't do? Where's your insight into that right now?
No, it's just that's all a decision basically in progress.
Okay.
With people and with his agents, and he's definitely going to the combine, and there'll definitely be a pro day there at LSU. So, but that's kind of a normal thing for a quarterback to make sure he's at those, and hopefully he'll get a chance to train with some of those receivers at some point in time before he throws with them at the LSU pro day.
Everything good with the ribs?
Yeah, he really didn't have any problem with that. I think he kind of thought it was worse than it was, but he's good to go. He's healthy. He's been trying to gain a little weight. He loses about 10 pounds during the season. So, his mom's home cooking's already put fire on him, so he's good.
The NBA Network. I was watching the NBA Network on Sunday, and they were giving reaction to the untimely death of superstar and icon Kobe Bryant, and they quoted 3 tweets, and they had Michael Jordan's tweet, they had Shaquille O'Neal's tweet, and they had Joe Burrow's tweet.
Wow.
About Kobe Bryant on the NBA Network on Sunday. And it talked about you and him watching Kobe while Joe was growing up, and Joe mentioned that was the mentality that he developed as a competitor while watching Kobe. Can you bring me to the living room and take me to those experiences and watching Kobe with your son?
Yeah, we like watching the NBA. Back then, and just watching those guys that were the greatest, like Kobe, and it's when you watch somebody like that as you're growing up. I mean, you can't help but just see the competitiveness and their will to win, and so he was all into that, and certainly, as he said, developed some of that mentality that you've seen from watching Kobe, and to be included in those guys with that tweet is pretty elite company.
As a coach, how much do you reference competitors like that, whether it be with your son and parenting him in competition, or you use it with your players in trying to motivate them?
Yeah, it's a big part of really recruiting for me. I liked watching guys play basketball and competing. Sometimes you could see that individual competitive is maybe a little more on the basketball court, and I think for Joe growing up playing competitive basketball all over the state, that helped his to learn how to compete, and it's a big part of it. I mean, you can sacrifice maybe a little athletic ability with somebody if they're just one track mind of such a competitor and the will to win. But if somebody has great athletic talent but they aren't focused on that, then it's probably not going to work.
Talking to Jimmy Burrow, as we do every Tuesday here on Off the Bench. And, of course, Jimmy, it's looking like Cincinnati is, in love with Joe, and that's likely a landing spot for him. I'm sure that you have a lot of Bengals fans kind of just in your everyday life. Maybe I'm assuming too much. But do you have a lot of Bengals guys coming up to you and kind of joke with you, talking with you, when they figure out who you are?
It's kind of strange. There's a lot of Cleveland Browns fans here, as well as Bengal fans. So, we're just Joe's happy, and we're happy as his parents that he's put himself in a position to maybe have an opportunity to be drafted so high. But certainly Ohio people are really wanting him to be in Ohio.
Have you eaten the Burrow steak yet? Have you eaten the Joe steak yet?
What was that again?
Have you eaten the Joe steak? Isn't there a Cincinnati steakhouse that has the Joe Burrow steak already on the menu?
Yeah, and they're donating to the food pantry as well.
That's right.
He's Joe has been to the one in Columbus with his friends. He was there visiting for a couple of days, and that created quite a stir as well as when he was in Cincinnati at the Buffalo Wild Wings.
The B-dubs. That is so great.
He's fairly recognizable, not only in Louisiana but certainly in Ohio too.
Yeah,
Paul's
off Ohio. All right, last one. I'd imagine that this world, man, you've been in football your entire life, but being around a potential number one pick and seeing the business of that, and now having it done, settled on an agent, setting on a financial guy, setting on a marketing firm. How is that world now so different than it was a month ago?
Well, it becomes a business, and a lot of Joe's decisions now are based on business and finances, and that's a learning experience for us as a family to know that it's certainly a business now, and it's got to be treated as such.
Send our best to our boy. We miss him down here in Louisiana. Looking forward to getting him back, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you, Coach.